Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and tonight we are doing yet another Grand Funk Railroad show. E Pluribus Funk, 1971. Daryl Collins is here. He's going to try to convert me. Can I come on board? So tune in. Here we go.
Talking bands no one talks about. Grant's Rock Warehouse.
Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse and to episode 2 in our Grand Funk series. I guess this is a series. DC is trying to convert me into being a Grand Funk fan, or at least appreciate him, because my whole stance is, if you watch the last episode in which we did Shining On, which that's a damn good record, I will give you that. Yeah. And it was totally different than what I thought Grand Funk sounded like in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
It really didn't. When I hear Grand Funk, I always think of that. Hey, everybody. Hey, I'm Mark Farner. And which we get on foot stomping music on the
Everybody gotta tap their feet.
So, but we looked at Shining On last month, and
right.
To be quite honest, I played that record so much, I don't get tired of it, DC. I like it.
Well, I know you're a big devotee of Don Brewer's vocals. And once Todd started producing Grand Funk, he said, we got to utilize this guy. He's being underused as a vocalist. Mm-hmm. And like we mentioned before, Todd may have heard, if this group is going to get top 40 success, that is the voice that's going to bring it to them.
Well, I think that they had, how many real single hits did they have? I'm Your Captain, yes, but We're American Band totally redefined them. It brought them, that was probably their biggest hit. Would you say, like a single?
Well, we the album we're discussing tonight, Foot Stompin' Music, was a minor hit, and the album after that, Phoenix, Rock and Roll Soul, got some top 40 airplay as well.
Okay. But nothing
didn't chart like American Band or what came after once Todd took the reins.
Would you agree that probably their album sold better than maybe their singles?
My God. Yeah, definitely. They rose to the top, so to speak, without the help of commercial radio for the most part. It was FM radio, and just the fan base was rabid for Grand Funk. And like we've mentioned before, that's probably one of the reasons why the critics kind of hated them, because they didn't need the critics. They made it their own way. And you got to give Terry Knight, their manager, a little bit of credit, because that guy was a master promoter of the group and managed to get them in concert venues, opening up when they were largely unknown, to build that fan base. Mm-hmm. But the world was changing. The musical world was changing with FM radio and Grand Funk's success there, and them seeing, we can't ride that much longer. We've got to come up with more of a commercial sound if we want this band to have legs going forward. And who better at the time than Todd Rundgren to produce?
I think this is something that just popped in my head. And, on these chats, we keep it loose. We're just talking music. The thing that I noticed, because tonight we are looking at E Pluribus Funk. There you go. There you
actual from back in the day.
You make me feel inadequate.
I feel inadequate. I make you feel young too. I am that old, folks.
Okay. So Shining On, what was that? 70? Was that 74? 74. So there's a couple of years in between. Okay. We're just going all over with this. It's, it's what it is. So E Pluribus Funk, when I listen to it, now I told you I had that preconceived notion of that. Hey, everybody, foot stomping. Yeah. This is when I hear Grand Funk, it's this record.
I hear
This is where I cringe.
But don't. And actually you're opening up the album with
and you know what? This still sounds to me like this could be a 60s album, late 60s record. Even though we're 1971, to me, it's still holding on to that 60s feel, which is not a problem. Right. When they got to American Band, and maybe even Phoenix, because I have been listening to that. We touched on that a bit. When they got to American Band, and I think Shining On, or when Todd Rundgren was actually able to produce them, because when I was reading the liner notes for this, I was going to say Terry Brown.
Terry Knight.
Terry Brown. Terry Knight, when he really didn't do anything. The band pretty much always would have everything together. They go into the studio, they record it. Terry Knight would come in at the end,
flip the switch,
and they basically said he didn't really do anything. They just worked with the engineer.
Yeah, Terry Knight was the mastermind behind promoting this band and getting them out to the masses in unconventional ways that you have to tip your hat to him on that front. And I got a good ba-dump story for you, and this just came to mind.
Go ahead.
I did see Grand Funk Railroad in their incarnation when they regrouped in the early 80s, and it was Mark, Don, and Dennis Ballinger on bass. They opened the show with one of your favorite funk tunes, foot stomping music. And then Farner leaves the keyboards and comes to the mic and goes, "Does everybody want to?" And he goes to play the guitar, and there is nothing. There's nothing. He's turning around looking. You see roadies scrambling around. Meanwhile, Don and Dennis are going while they're trying to figure out what the hell's going on with his guitar. They never figured it out initially, so they just stopped the ba-dump and quit the tune. And like about 3 or 4 minutes later, they had everything ironed out and they restarted the show. So that's my ba-dump story.
That's good, actually. But now what was I talking about? Well, Terry Knight didn't really do anything. And by reading these liner notes, which these Capitol reissues are kind of good because, they do talk to the band about
very
stuff.
Informative.
Very informative. And you can barely find these things. This is out of print. I think the only ones in print were American Band and maybe Closer to Home and the live album.
Yeah. Yep.
That's
Agreed.
it. All of it's out of print.
I made sure I scooped every one of them up when they were released because they were staggered in their release 2 or 3 at a time. And I made sure I picked them up because I just felt like I didn't want to take the chance of them just evaporating, not being able to find them if you wait.
Right. Well, they're not really in the used bins. That's what I'm saying. I never see them.
No, because the people that love Grand Funk are going to hang on to them.
So, and I doubt that these sold gangbusters. I think these came out was this like 2002 maybe?
Early 2000s.
Yeah. And I don't remember these getting much of a push. They just kind of appeared.
No. The people that love Grand Funk knew they were coming out and was salivating over them, but the general public, there was no big announcement or hoopla, as they say. But
I told you that story in the last episode. When I was in high school in the 80s, no one knew who Grand Funk was. None of my peers, or even, I was into music, and I just thought that they were like, I like the Beatles and all that, but the Grand Funk, none of my buddies listened to Grand Funk. It seemed like it was 1,000 years ago when they were even popular. When you put it all in a frame of reference, when you're like,
exactly. They were one of those groups that had massive success, and just almost as quickly it subsided and they disappeared.
Right. And then
you had to be there and lived in that area at a certain age to really get the whole Grand Funk movement. Look at that.
Right. That's what you do. Hey, and I think just learning that this one, it does do a thumbs down.
Wah, wah, wah.
I don't know. Again, I don't know where this is coming from, but it does it. So don't be scared if it goes off. Yeah, but when in high school, no one gave 2 squats about Grand Funk. We thought it was like the only thing they would ever play on QFM 96 would be "We're an American Band."
Yeah,
that's it.
Maybe every once in a while, Closer to Home. But really,
back then they did. They don't even play that anymore.
No one's going to play a 9-minute tune like that had marginal success back in the day. It's just not one of those. It's not Hey Jude.
I like I'm Your Captain, though. I like it.
I do too. I love it.
Okay.
But Grand Funk, it's a very interesting story with that group that they could be just so massive, and then within 7 or 8 years, just disappear, and younger people coming up not even aware of the band. No. Not a blip on the radar at all. So a very interesting history with this band. But
I don't know. Well, let's throw it out instead of me yapping all the time. DC, give me your take on this record. Because you mentioned this is the reason we're doing this. This is like one of your favorite Grand Funk records. Okay, right? Correct? Okay.
It is.
Why is this your record? Because I listened to it and this has everything on there that I hate about Grand Funk.
Well, for me, the songs are earthy, gritty, and there's a funk to it.
Okay. You mentioned there's a funk. Okay. Foot stomping music leads off the record. You know what that reminds me of? Do you know what that's a copy of?
What?
And not a blatant copy. This is a poor man's Sly and the Family Stone ripoff. You could quote me. Okay, you could quote me on that because I hear it and I keep waiting for Larry Graham to come in and sing that low part. He never comes in there. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I'm going
DC, do you know what I'm talking about? Right. You've got Mark going, hey, foot stomping, you baby, get down. And I keep waiting. No, Larry Graham comes in. No, right.
It ain't happening.
It doesn't come in. But it sounds like Sly Stone circa 1968. That's what I mean. It's almost like they're still hanging on to 1968. Yeah.
But I mean,
68 is like, where this sounds like it would fit in.
Like Upsetter and I Come Tumbling. There's like a funk grit element to it that I love.
Okay.
And why this album is a bit higher for me is because the first Grand Funk album, that the live one, obliterates all those early albums. Any song that's on that first live album, that's on one of the first 3 studio Grand Funk albums, those songs pale in comparison to the live versions. So I never even listened to those albums.
I guess probably ought to look at that live album then.
Oh, the live album.
I dig that. Like, maybe I dig that. Are these okay? Let me throw you out because you like the live album. You say it obliterates everything else that came before.
It does.
Is Grand Funk Railroad more of a live band than a studio band? You know, on those early Kiss albums, they could never capture the Kiss live sound. Alive came out and you listen to it and go, holy mackerel.
Yeah, that's a great parallel. And that is the same thing with Grand Funk, especially early on. They could never capture in the studio what they brought to the stage live. All those songs that were the live set of that first album, the album versions, the studio versions, pale mightily in comparison to the live version. There is so much energy. You could feel it through the speakers. I mean, it is
I'm going to give you
electric performance, that first live album.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if there's anybody here who ever gets on the Steve Hoffman site. I used to get on there in the early 2000s like a maniac. I don't get on there so much anymore, but it is a plethora of information, of albums that sound good, CDs that sound good. If you're looking to get into a band, always go over to, I don't have anything to do with Steve Hoffman. I'm just saying. But if you are going, gosh, I wonder what Grand Funk CDs are the best sounding. Because some of us are into that. We want
fidelity.
We want something that sounds good. It's not mixed with. I want to hear the way it was supposed to be. Okay. So for the most part, these Past Master series that came out in Japan, this is Past Masters 2, but everyone knows on the Steve Hoffman group that the Beach Boys stuff on Past Masters are all flat transfers from the tapes. All the Past Masters ones, from what I can understand or what I've read about, are just copies of tapes. But the right tapes, and this sounds phenomenal. American Band sounds phenomenal. I'm going to mention this. This is considered one of the best Past Master CDs, is that live album you're talking about.
Yeah.
In Japan, the 2 CD set, DC, 2 Past Master CDs. I think they eventually combined it into one for the States, right?
Yeah, it's a single CD in the States. It was a double album vinyl originally. Right. CD wise, they just all put it on one.
But the Japanese Past Masters, I haven't heard it. According to Steve Hoffman, at least it was. They thought that was one of the best sounding CDs out there. It sounded like Grand Funk is playing right in your
living room or bedroom or wherever you're listening. And for someone that is not a real devotee of that band and is curious, what's the big to-do? Without seeing the band perform in this concert, listening to it, that energy are just gonna bowl you over. Just those three musicians and the synergy between them. You
get me all excited. Go ahead.
And the audience response to them. It's electric. It truly is. I mean, I definitely give that a listen. Those early albums, that's why they're not up there with my favorites.
Okay.
Get to Pluribus. For me, I don't like the I'm not finding it.
Wait a minute. Wait. What? What? You don't like what?
The earlier albums. The earlier albums pale in comparison to the live versions. Right. So that's why those albums haven't risen to the top with me.
Now I really want to hear that now.
Pluribus funk. I just dig
give your spiel.
Upsetter. I Come Tumbling. Save the Land. Now on this album, this is very Mark Farner centric lead vocals. In fact, the only Brewer sung song on here is
Save the Land. They trade off.
Yeah, and there's some trading off because in People Let's Stop the War, Don Brewer sings the bridge. I've been excited, ain't nobody ready. That
sounds great on it.
Yeah. But and then they take a swing at something that's similar to Closer to Home with Loneliness. And that is like their epic that they tried to recalibrate I'm Your Captain.
I like that though.
It's epic and it's like it's really beautifully done. I mean, it's more ecological. What's the state of the planet and everything. And aside from a few cringy lyrics in the song, I think it's dynamite. I mean, I put I'm Your Captain a little bit higher, but Loneliness is tremendous.
I think it stands up on its own. There might be similarities with I'm Your Captain, but it's really its own.
It's its own thing.
Its own thing. And the Cleveland Symphony's playing on it. It sounds great.
Yeah.
What a way to end the record, too, right? Don't you agree?
It was perfect sequencing. That song has to go at the end of the album. If that was put in the middle of the album, for me, that mojo, notwithstanding, would have been circumvented, and then you're going to start off with a couple rockers after this. No, this has to finish the album.
Well, Foot Stompin' Music, I know that's one of their main songs. I get it. Yeah. And if you listen to this record, I don't know how else you'd start the record off other than with Foot Stompin' Music.
Oh, it's a natural. You have to start with that song. But it's not my favorite.
My favorite on the record is Save the Land. Though I feel like I'm getting preached at, just like People Let's Stop the War. See, it just sounds to me, this album is so 1960s.
Well, subject-wise, this is a very, I agree with you, 60s preachy kind of collection of songs. I mean, they're addressing the war, they're addressing environment, they're addressing crappy politicians, the state of the world, ecology, all that. And that, if you can get past some of the preachiness of the lyrical content, I mean, as riffs and as performances and as rockin' funky tunes, Upsetter, I Come Tumbling, Save the Land, People Let's Stop the War, Vietnam War sentiments notwithstanding, the music is it resonates with me. Let me just say that. Maybe you're obviously getting a different wavelength with these things than what's hitting me, but I love the guitar playing. I love Mark Farner's voice. You don't.
So that's Mark. Okay, Mark is okay.
Okay.
Too much Mark's bad for me.
Gonna mix it.
I like those Todd Rundgren records.
Yeah,
we're mixing it. It's more Don Brewer, for God's sakes.
And to Todd's credit, and that's why Todd is the producer he is. He heard that and said, "We've got two very good vocalists here. Personal tastes set aside. We need to utilize Don Brewer a bit more." And they did. And that kind of mix is more to your liking. And So, like I said,
Well, also, I think the songwriting's better. It seemed because Todd is going to listen to what they've got, pick out the best. They've never really were produced, DC.
I know.
This is the big difference. It's like they put out all these records. Yeah, they did okay. But when they got with Todd knew exactly what to do and actually produce them to put out some proper material. This just seems kind of, yeah, the riffs are there. The vocals are good. The recording's great. But
the songcraft. The songcraft for you is not of the level it would be.
No. Where are the hooks?
Right after.
Where are the hooks?
Oh my God. I think there's great hooks on.
It's not, it's kind of half-baked for me. It's pleasant enough to listen to.
Yeah.
For God's sakes, people. We have so little of Don Brewer, even though his drums, you could pick his playing out of a Police lineup. He is very distinct.
Oh yeah, he's never mentioned when they talk about the classic rock period drummers and who were the best. He's really got his own vibe going there.
That's good.
He uses the cymbal a lot more than a lot of other drummers do. Very percussive, very I think he tries different things that I don't hear other hard rock band drummers do, just in his general way he approaches songs.
But sound quality wise, I think this record sounds great. I think a lot of these records sound good because they don't spend a lot of time in the studio. They go in a week, lay it down, and we're back out on tour. And, everything's very, well, it's just guitar, bass, drums. You know what I mean? It's simple.
They didn't have to tinker too much because these three guys played together for so long. And like I always say, that synergy between the three of them, there weren't a lot of pregnant pauses or not knowing where to go. They just locked in. They had a song and everybody brought their A game and it just melded together perfectly for my tastes.
I just want to make a observation that we aren't talking Phoenix. And I did mention that I like this album a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
This is the one they self-produced it, but they were kind of self-producing themselves anyway. It's really not any different. But the secret weapon here is Craig Frost.
Yeah.
I think once they got Craig in there, that fourth member, but his keyboards,
I think
he is so good.
I think that, and they had a previous history with Craig Frost with Terry Knight and the Pack. I think Mark and Don had played with him before. But having said that, they may have come to a point where they did all they could do as a threesome. Mm-hmm. And adding that constant keyboard and not having Farner having to go from keyboard to guitar, it opens up possibilities for them.
Right.
And you see it here on Phoenix initially, but then when Todd got behind him with American Band, he really utilized those keyboards in a much more sophisticated way. Mm-hmm. But you see it on Phoenix.
You can see they're onto something. They're onto
something, and they're continuing to build with that fourth member and all the possibilities that brings to their compositions. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you've got the instrumental that leads off that album, Flight of the Phoenix. You've even got a fiddle player, Doug Kershaw, because they recorded it in Nashville. Did you ever
legend?
You ever see a fiddle player on a Grand Funk album? But it works. It's a great tune to open up the album. You like it more than foot stomping music to open an album.
Oh God, yes.
Okay. It's a great tune. And there's little flavors of country built into the mix, a little bit of gospel in there. So it's a very different Grand Funk album. Although they've employed those elements on Survival and some of their other tunes. Really, this Phoenix album is Grand Funk really going in a different direction. They're trying to find their way. They got four members. They've lost their manager, and although he let them just go in the studio and do their things without dickering around too much, they were kind of looking for direction. And then Todd comes along. So this album here is they're just still trying to find their way post Terry Knight.
But do you think? Because I'm going to throw this question out to you because I don't know the answer. But I've listened to this. I used to have Survival. I've heard some of the older. I think I had On Time on vinyl.
That's our first one.
I had that. Okay. when I listen to all that stuff, and then you're listening to E Pluribus Funk, I don't see much as change. I don't see any growth to me, but maybe I'm narrow-minded. I've got blinders on. I hate Grand Funk blinders. And I'm not really looking at it. I don't see, well, I see growth on Phoenix. I do. I think it has to do with Craig Frost coming in. Hey, this is great. Wow. We're, new blood. It's like the Beatles during Get Back when Billy Preston came. They were like, hey, well, this is not wow, let's play. Same kind of thing.
There's really something to be said for bringing in a new member of the band, an addition, and what that causes to percolate among the four of them now. And I mean, it's I think they had gone as far as they could go as a threesome, and it was the right time to add another member to the band. And here's a little trivia for you. When they were looking to add a fourth member, they didn't necessarily want to go with a keyboard player. They had asked Peter Frampton if he wanted to join the band, because Peter had left Humble Pie. They had played plenty of gigs with Humble Pie in the early 70s. But Frampton wanted to do his own thing, and the rest is history on that front. But he is one of the musicians that they had considered adding to the band as a fourth member. And then they decided on Craig, which was probably better in the long run.
I think that was probably better. I think it was probably better for Peter, but I think if he had have joined Grand Funk, became that fourth member, it would have kept Peter Frampton from appearing in that Sgt. Pepper movie.
Well, there's a positive there.
Or do the album cover with "I'm in You."
Oh, poor Peter! What a tremendous guitar player.
Oh, he's one of my favorites.
Although he was, top of the top there at 76 and 77, I think he gets overlooked at what a wonderfully melodic and beautiful guitar player. Oh yeah, he's a good-looking guy. You could see that
a guitar player. Oh, you can pick him out of the lineup too, because he does such unusual lead runs, and he's very creative, and he's just got.
There's little flavors of jazz in his runs, and it was so interesting when he was with Humble Pie, playing off of Steve Marriott. Vocally, and then Greg Ridley, who we're getting in a Humble Pie thing here. But
that's all right.
That was a wonderful band, Humble Pie. Loved them. Oddly enough, for me, my favorite album of theirs is the first one that after Peter left. Smoking. I don't like those earlier ones. It's too much.
Town and Country and
folky bull crap. I don't care for on those. But I love the album Smoking. That's a 10.
If you think about where the Small Faces kind of were, it's kind of a continuation of False Maces.
It makes perfect sense. But for my tastes, my favorite album of theirs is Smoking. And the live album, Rockin' the Fillmore. Wow. What a tour. You want to talk about live albums that just explode.
There you go. There's another show.
That's another one.
Live albums that explode out of the speakers. Live albums that explode.
Like Doug Henning.
But E Pluribus Funk.
So your feelings on it, and like I said, you're getting the vibe you don't like about Grand Funk, and you're probably got residual feelings with Some Kind of Wonderful, and that just like that, you know what I mean? It's all,
don't hate that.
All coming home to roost in your mind. So I know where you're coming from, but for me, aside from foot stomping music, which I will agree is a ba-dump song, foot tapper, everybody get up and groove.
Come on, Larry Graham, where are you? It's a poor man's.
Gonna add some ball tone.
It's a poor man's Sly and the Family Stone rip off.
But the rest of that album, for me, it just knocks my socks off.
People, let's stop the war.
Yeah, but I mean, there was
preachy. Do we need that?
Yeah, well, at the time.
Well, I know
I've got a few years on you, Grant. At the time, there was like lots of people were just getting really pissed off at Vietnam and what was going on.
Oh, I know.
Was always very generous with doing things for veterans and everything. So I'm not surprised they did this song. Yeah, it's a little preachy, and especially in retrospect, when you move down the road a little bit, it's okay. But I mean, this album has got a lot of preachiness to it. I mean, you've got environmental tunes, Save the Land, and
well, if I listen to Upsetter,
upset her.
I mean, it starts out real mellow, but
Mhm.
then it goes into that whole Sly and the Family Stone thing where he's. We need some wah wah guitar, waka waka waka, and some more. It's just a watered, a poor man's, and they're not all that funky. It's more soul.
Yeah, it's like not pure funk. It's soul, but there is funk elements in there.
I know.
Maybe they need to redo that album with Larry Graham on vocals. How about that?
Help. We need some slap bass.
It's like
I Come Tumbling.
Yeah, I love all those tunes. Yeah, I said,
that doesn't come off as Sly and the Family Stone.
No, it's on bum 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 bum, and then the drums and the bass come in there, and then they kick it into its rhythm. Yeah, loneliness,
like a rave. It kind of reminds me more of. Okay, you know what it reminds me of? Big Brother and Holding Company. Erase his vocals and put Janis Joplin in there to sing it.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like Big Brother and Holding Company.
Yeah.
And that's not fun. Negative.
No.
I pick all kinds of elements out, and they all come from the 60s because it seems like they're stuck in that late 1968 to me. But that's not a criticism. That's
funny that you mentioned that, because I think in the history of both bands, Grand Funk and Janis Joplin and Big Brother and Holding Company, they overlapped touring, and I guess Janis had a thing for Mark, probably that all that performing with no shirt on.
Probably got her all worked up. Probably made her drop her whiskey bottle.
Yeah, she liked Mark quite a little bit, and I think I remember Mark telling a story about maybe sharing a couple beverages with her along the way. Or maybe I heard it wrong, but that's funny that you brought that up, because I know there is a little bit of history with Janis and Mark and Grand Funk. So maybe that song turned out the way it did based on him picking up that vibe from her performances. And yeah, that's a good observation, Grant.
But let me throw out another song, Save the Land, which I think is one of the best ones. I mean, if you tweaked it a little bit, I mean, it's kind of funky. The guitar sounds really good on it.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you even tweaked it and
bring Larry Graham in there.
Out. Well, you could. But Mel sounds good, though. He's a machine, but he's different. But you get Larry Graham in here and he would just tear it up.
Oh, yeah. That would be you're bringing up something very interesting that I will ruminate about at 3:00 in the morning tonight as I'm lying in bed, looking at the ceiling, thinking about what if Larry Graham was added to the mix. Now, Mel's fantastic, but Larry brings something different. Very interesting.
And I listened to E Pluribus, and I wonder what Craig Frost would have brought to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they played some of these songs touring as a 4-piece, but maybe not. That second live album that features Craig Frost, I really don't, other than Foot Stompin' Music, I don't think they played anything off that album.
Okay.
So yeah, maybe they didn't really play too much off of E Pluribus once Craig joined, because there were so many memorable tunes from American Band, Shining On, that why go back to that material?
No, it's like a rebirth.
Yeah, it was truly.
But you listen to No Lies,
No Lies is probably my least favorite. I'm trying to come up with something
in my brain. The guitars are great. I think the interplay between him and Mel, I mean, it's always solid. Those three guys playing together, it's always solid. And then Mark comes in with that damn vocal again. It's kind of like all the same song to me.
Okay.
Maybe that's it.
That's valid. That's how you see it. And it's
interesting. I'm trying to grow.
Oh, well, I mean, you've done yeoman's work here in delving into this Grand Funk catalog, when I know you've heard enough of it to know this isn't in your wheelhouse, and you've given it a very solid effort.
I know. And I just showed you this because
I tip my cap to you.
I found that.
Yeah. Wait till you listen to that instrumental, Out to Get You, from that album with Frank Zappa playing with them.
Yeah, that's right.
Very interesting. And him and Mark trade lead guitars throughout the song. I think it'll impress you. That album there is okay. It's not one of my favorites, but the instrumental, it is very interesting to see Zappa playing with the Michigan boys.
Would you say that this album is, I know we're all over the place, quite a drop from previous works, or does it stand up?
It's different. It's not a tremendous drop from, like, say, Shining On. I don't know if you've ever heard Born to Die. That one came before that one. It's kind of carrying on in the same vein. They're not quite as hard rock anymore, and the pop hooks are there on some songs, and other songs are more disposable.
Well, I'm going to listen to it tonight when I go to bed.
Okay.
Just lay there, look at the ceiling.
I'll be looking at the ceiling, thinking about Larry Graham on.
And that came out in 76, right? Didn't that come out in 76? Good singing, good playing.
Yeah. In fact, they have a song on there called 1976.
And that record, I know we're on a tangent, but I have questions. That wasn't on Capitol anymore. Their last Capitol album was that when?
I think that was Born to Die.
What label did this come out on?
MCA, I believe.
Oh, MCA.
Yeah, and that Born to Die was to just show that the band is ending. And the cover's got all four of them in coffins.
Yeah.
And the only one that's got a white bow tie in their tuxedo line in the coffin is Mark, because he was going to continue on as a solo act. And the other three really didn't know what they were going to do, but they did form Flint. And that's coming up, folks.
We're going to look at Flint.
Yeah. And I think have you listened to that album?
No, I don't have it yet.
I think you're going to like it quite a bit.
You know what I like.
Yeah.
But I will say, any Pluribus, anytime that Don Brewer's singing, I'm sold.
You're there.
Even though I don't think the material's quite up to what came on Shine On or We're an American Band. It's because they're self-produced. Nothing wrong with that, ladies and gentlemen. But Todd could see what they had to offer and was able to bring out the best in them.
Yeah, Todd said that
they needed that, DC.
He said this band gets shit on, but they're good musicians. They've just not had the right person behind them to kind of like help them find their way and bring them to the next level. He says they're excellent musicians. He said that there's nothing wrong with their playing. Very competent musicians.
Now I hear this record a certain way. This is your favorite. This is
of the early stuff up to that time, for whatever reason, and I don't think it's the shape of the album cover.
Well, you have to admit,
it resonates with me. It's just that grit and that three-man band, just to me, nailing it with funky guitar grooves, great bass, drums, the back and forth Mark and Don vocals at times. All the things I love about Grand Funk are, to me, showcased on this album.
So when you look at Grand Funk, do you think that this album, if an alien is going to drop in on Earth and the alien says, "What is Grand Funk Railroad?" What do you present the alien?
I give him the first live album. And then this is just personal for me. This album
that's why we're talking.
Yeah, this album here culminates the three-piece part of the band. Okay. We've done everything we could do as a three-piece. This is the cherry on top, the ending salvo, and then we're moving into uncharted territories with not having our management, bringing in a keyboard player, and this is where we're going.
A rebirth.
Yeah. That's the Phoenix. Yeah, exactly.
So okay. We know you like this record. What would you rate this out of 10?
Boy, I'm such a, how do I put it? What I love, I love, and what I hate, I hate. And I love this album, and people are going to want to hit me with hammers.
No, not on the channel. People love.
Okay, let's say American Band and Shining On are 9.59. I give this an 8.5, just personally.
That's fine.
It may have been my age, how everything hit me.
Well, think about it. When this came out, You're 100% right. All this stuff, all these records that you like, all depend upon when you're like in your adolescence or you're young, and you're taking everything in, and you're just taking everything in.
That's
it builds your, I don't want to say character, but it kind of it's your foundation, which all this other stuff is built upon.
It's the template for your musical taste being built.
It's like when I look at Styx Grand Illusion.
Yeah.
Or Pieces of Eight. That's
it's
like
the epicenter for your formulation of taste and love of music. So that resonates with you. Yeah.
I freaking love that Styx stuff. No, I mean up, not down.
What?
I mean up.
Maybe this will help. Yeah.
There. I wonder how long it didn't stay there. I don't know where it got the down.
Technology is not always your friend.
No, not mine. So you would give this, what would you give it?
I would give this 8.5. In retrospect, as I've moved down life's path, I still love it a lot, but I'm not as passionate, and things change a little bit. I would put those 2 Todd produced albums at the very top with that first live album. Oh my God. Wait till you listen to that, Grant.
I know. We're going to talk about that. That's up next.
Okay. And then this one here, just for what I love about Grand Funk, it brings it in large doses.
The thing is,
that's just me. Ba-dump.
But this is a theory.
Yeah.
This is everything that I don't like about Grand Funk. But that live album may turn it around. You know how you can hear things again? I look at those Todd Rundgren records like it's a different band, pretty much. Songwriting, production. I don't think Todd engineered those. I think someone else did, but I don't remember. I could be wrong.
Right.
Whatever. It's almost a different band. Okay. Yeah, it still sounds the same, but it's more flushed out. Okay. But I could maybe listen to that live album and hear what you're saying, and then I could look at Pluribus and go, oh,
okay, now that makes sense.
Now it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
I need to tie some more of it in.
Listen to that first live album. There is so much spark and energy that will just come right through your speakers.
Well, the other thing is what I'm going to do tonight too. I told you I was going to listen to the Zappa record, but I'm also going to listen to this tonight. And after hearing you talk about it, and we've discussed it, I'm going to go back and listen to it. And then when we do the live show, I'll kind of do a follow-up, because I may hear things that you mentioned. I might reinterpret this better, and I might have a different opinion.
Yeah, I'll be very curious to see or to hear your thoughts about that first live album.
But, sitting here and talking about bands and talking about records like this, it can change your opinion on things.
Oh, yeah. If you are talking to somebody that has an appreciation for an artist or a band that maybe is they've never been in your sweet spot, but they mention a thing or two that piques your interest or flips a little switch, you approach your listening to that content a little differently than if you just found it out. Put this on. What the hell? You're listening to what that person got out of it and how it affected or what it did for them, and then you bring that to your listening experience. So hopefully you'll kind of pick up on the same thing that I did when I listened to that live album years and years ago.
And like I've been trying to keep an open mind, but when foot stomping music started, I went, oh no, there it is.
But dump.
Here it goes. But
I noticed on account of like a parallel or offshoot of this conversation.
Yes, sir.
I've noticed the term wall punchers creeping in the conversation on some of the musical channels here on the YouTube.
Do you think we're having influence?
Some guy was saying that he hated Kansas and that Carry On My Wayward Son was a wall puncher. He had to pick that up from our wall puncher.
I know, because here in the Warehouse, we're cutting edge.
We are leading the trends in music conversation.
We are.
Others can just follow. They're not setting
all the other channels are followers, as far as I'm concerned.
They're not setting the pace like we are at the Warehouse.
No,
so remember
Warehouse is
Your time here is well spent.
It is. We're trying to turn you on to stuff. I'm trying to be positive about E Pluribus Funk.
Well, don't put yourself out, because if it's not hitting you, man, it's not hitting you. But listen to that live album, and I'm very excited to get your thoughts when we talk about it down the road.
That's a deal.
Okay.
I right now stand at a 6 out of 10, probably.
Hey,
it's not bad, 5. But it doesn't. It's just not.
It's not going to move you. It's not going to cause
you to move me. I appreciate the production. I appreciate the guitar playing. I appreciate the bass. I appreciate them playing as a band.
Yeah,
but
you're not stopping.
There's an awful lot of Mark Farner on here for me.
It is. It's a very Mark-centric album.
He wrote all the songs.
All the lead vocals except for one tune. And although Dawn does back and forth vocals on a few tunes, it's a Mark album all the way.
Okay, well, there you go.
There you go, folks.
All right, there. I guess we did it.
We did it once, and this is a very interesting
record. I don't hate this record, ladies and gentlemen, but I don't think it's
not going to get multiple spins around the warehouse with you.
No, I think the packaging is better than the album. Hold up that record again. I haven't seen one of those in a long time. Can you imagine that filling up the racks?
Oh, yeah. There had to be plenty of rack. Well, maybe not, since it's round. You normally get the corners dinged up with vinyl albums. The fact that it's round, maybe it didn't get as much rack image.
Well, I know we're wrapping this up, but what is there inner sleeve, or is it just white? Did they pump more money into that? I don't think I've ever seen it. I've seen issues, you know what I mean. Now, does it have a special? Oh, look at the MoFi. Oh, look at that.
You got lyrics.
Okay.
Grant, you got your lyrics to foot stomping music here. Thank God. You were listening. Come on, everybody.
God, thank God.
And then on top of it, flip it over. There's Mark.
Oh, yeah. Now that's on the inside of the CD.
Don and Mel. Yeah. And so you get this on the flip side.
Why is Mark at the top?
He's the man.
He's the man, I guess.
The man. He's a front man. He's a shirtless man. I think that's part of your ire, Grant. The fact he's up there prancing around with no shirt on.
Put a shirt on.
Who the hell does he think he is? Up there like a proud peacock.
I know, for God's sakes, put a damn shirt on. Cut that hair, damn dirty hippie.
Okay.
But there you go. I give it a 6. DC gives it an 8.
All right.
That's fine. And we will circle around, and I'll give a follow-up when we do the live album.
Yeah. Oh, I'm real excited to hear your thoughts about that live album.
Well,
you're either going to say, what a revolution, or DC, you are out of your freaking mind.
And
maybe a little bit of both. Maybe
anybody in the comments, please give us your thoughts on Funk. Give us your thoughts on the live record. I don't care, whatever.
I love going into the comments after we do the shows and just seeing what people think. And it's always interesting commentary there and thought-provoking. And, you can only get so many people on these shows, but there's a vast audience of people that are knowledgeable and have experience with these albums and everything. Yeah. We'd love to hear what you think. So please leave a message. And
you've heard my critique. Just kind of put it in my, listen to what I'm saying. Don't have to crucify me or anything. I'm trying, people. Hey, I'm all on board on Shining On. I'll give you that. That's a great.
Please, folks, no hate. No hate.
Hey, over the weekend, I did a Forever 70s listening party, and guess what I played? Shining On.
Oh my goodness. You know what? I was in transit from Florida, and I saw that you were going to be doing it. I saw that lovely Farrah and Wonder Woman promo graphics, and I thought, crap, I'm going to be on a plane, or I'm going to be wheeling my way back home while that was going on.
It's all good. It's there. I think I did it.
I can always listen to it, and now it's there for posterity.
Well, I'll keep it up there a week. All the old shows, all those listening parties, I only keep them up there a week, but they're still there. If you have the link, they're still there.
Right.
They're just not.
they're there.
They're there, but they're still
Gotcha.
there. Yeah, the link.
All right, I got to give those a listen.
These links, then you can go back. The other thing I wanted to mention is that, yes, Sunday, I'm going to do another 70s listening part. We had a lot of people show up Sunday.
Cool. 70s is a real good it's so rich in content, and you can go in so many directions. My God, the 70s, top 40, and then you take even classic rock. There are just so many different directions you can go in. It's always interesting.
And moving it to Sunday helped in the evening rather than doing it Saturday at 1.
Yeah.
Sunday's a lot better. It gives me more time to prepare these things too.
Well, Sunday night is when everybody is winding down from the weekend and getting ready for the
warehouse.
The things that start on Monday. But it's a nice come down for the weekend to have.
So it's good.
This content. So hats off. That's
I'm going to keep it on Sunday. Seems to work well.
That's good.
I get a lot of people. It was successful. It's getting better. Saturdays, I think they were kind of hitting.
There's too much stuff going on in people's lives on Saturday. It's a little tricky.
Sunday night is key.
Sunday night is key.
All right, DC.
All right,
the Pluribus Funk.
Right.
Stay tuned for our next installment where we will look at that live album. Is that 1970?
1970, yes.
1970 live album. All right, I have great hopes.
Am I full of crap or am I right on the spot?
Well, you're kind of full of crap on this one, but I appreciate it.
Okay.
So I'm going to go back
appreciate it for being full of crap.
Well, you're not full of crap. You like what you like.
Yeah. It's never wrong, folks. Whatever your tastes are, your tastes, you're not wrong.
We don't care in the warehouse.
It's all fun. It's all in fun.
All right, DC, we'll see you. And thanks for doing this. It's always a pleasure.
Anytime. Always fun.
To talk music. It's always fun. All right. Please like, subscribe, you know the whole thing. Wednesdays are live. We do a live stream on the Contrarians. Always go and check it out, 7 p.m. All right, we'll see everybody, and take care.